What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Top 5 Scary Videos. Have you ever told somebody about a movie you absolutely loved and none of your friends have never even heard of it? It's always exciting because you get to recommend a solid flick for them, and then when they watch it and love it, they think you're the coolest person ever, and then you'll be invited to every party, right? That's how it works, I think. Some scary movies are amazing but go under the radar somehow, whether it's a lack of advertising or the reviews just drowned it before it even had a chance to breathe. Some movies deserve a lot more praise. That being said, I'm Taylor McWaters, and here are the top 5 scary horror movies you've probably never heard of. Number 5, Dead Silence. Okay, so before Aquaman and The Conjuring was released in theaters, director James Wan teamed up with horror writer Leigh Whannell to make Dead Silence. This film was released in 2007 and only made $16 million in the box office despite its $20 million budget. Now, I started this list off with Dead Silence because this movie should have done a lot better. I remember sneaking into the theater to watch this, that's how old I am, and I'm sure glad that I did. Dead Silence packs all the punches you need for a solid horror flick. We got creepy dolls, an angry old lady, Donnie Wahlberg is there as a detective, so you know it's gonna be great. It's good fun all around. So in Dead Silence, we follow the life of a widow named Jamie Ashen, who returns to his hometown, Ravens Fair, for the funeral of his late wife. His wife had received a creepy package containing a ventriloquist doll named Billy, already a creepy name, and then was found murdered only minutes after. Talk about a crazy Friday. Ooh. Now obviously, Jamie is a prime suspect in the murder, so he decides to unravel this mystery while he's in Ravens Fair for the funeral. Now already this sounds like a classic whodunit mystery murder, you know? We got dolls, detectives, I'm already sold on this whole thing. But this is when things start to get a little crazy. So back in the 1940s, local ventriloquist Mary Shaw was the talk of Ravens Fair. I mean, that was until a young boy heckled her during her show and exposed her entire act. The townsfolk didn't react too well because, they hunted her down and cut out her tongue and left her for dead. So that went from 0 to 100 quite quick. That's a bit much, guys. Leave a bad Yelp review, maybe, something, I don't know. Egg her house. There's other steps before this, maybe, I don't know. And as if that wasn't alarming enough, the townsfolk buried her with her children. And by children, I mean her ventriloquist dolls, of course. Now, as time passes, Mary begins to seek revenge on all of those who did her dirty, with the help of her insane doll posse. So why should you watch this movie? Well, despite a handful of cheesy scenes, James Wan delivers the goods in this hidden gem. The horror sequences are done really well and even has a twist ending that's actually quite fun. Mary Shaw is a terrifying villain, both to look at and to see what she does. One of the rules is that if you see her and don't scream, she won't kill you, which is a lot harder than you can imagine once you see what this chick's capable of. I hated how much this movie scared me as a kid. I mean, even rewatching it now as an adult, it's horribly underrated. This movie came from the same guys who brought you The Conjuring, Saw, and Insidious movies. So if you liked any of those, you can't miss Dead Silence. Number 4, Buried. Starring everybody's favorite Canadian merc with a mouth, Ryan Reynolds stars as the lead of the 2010 box film Buried. Waking up all alone in a pitch black wooden coffin, American truck driver Paul Conroy has to figure out where he is, why he's there, and most importantly, how to get out alive. Ryan Reynolds is the only visible actor in the entire movie, and it was filmed in only 16 days in Barcelona, from director Rodrigo Cortés. Ryan Reynolds absolutely carries this film from start to finish, not only because he has to, but because Ryan Reynolds himself suffers from claustrophobia in real life, and you can see it in every scene in this movie. The movie starts up with Reynolds waking up in a coffin with only a lighter and a BlackBerry. Not even an iPhone either, what a tragedy. He then learns that he's being held for ransom for $5 million, and then has to rely on bad signal, low phone battery, and lack of information to find a way out alive. Now, I won't give away any of the plot as I truly do believe this is one of the best hidden gems out there. The film is coated with these beautiful one-shots that shows our protagonist struggling to remain calm. And as you watch Paul run out of oxygen in the movie, you yourself start to feel the same thing. And that's what makes Buried so great. Some movies have a great premise, but the decisions of the main character don't quite align with how you would react if you were in the same spot. So it makes it not relatable and you find yourself less connected to the horror sequences. Buried is the perfect movie because Ryan Reynolds reacts like we would. He panics, he gets mad, and he immediately tries to break his way out, and you can actually see him struggle. And for a movie with just one main character, Buried leaves you breathless for all the right reasons. Number 3, As Above, So Below. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Well, you can say that again, Satan. Directed by John Eric Dowdle in 2014, As Above, So Below follows a group of explorers who sneak into the depths of the Paris catacombs to find the Philosopher's Stone. Okay, this already sounds like a rejected Harry Potter plot, but I promise it's much more sinister than that. The main character, archaeologist Scarlett Marlowe, has spent most of her life trying to figure out where to find Flamel's Philosopher's Stone, as it has the powers to grant immortality and even turn any metal into gold. Sounds like a pretty cool rock. Worth the troubles, I would say. As Above, So Below is filmed to look like a documentary, so the sudden shifts in camera work are already enough to get spooked. The film's loosely based on the 9 stages of hell, so it's quite fast-paced and uses themes such as lust, gluttony, greed, anger, heresy, violence, fraud, and treachery. That's a lot of plot points for a film coming in at just an hour and 30 minutes, yet this movie nails it. Each character has a hidden past that is yet to be discovered in order to move on, so you're not quite sure what's going to happen next or which hellish theme you'll be getting along the way. Which is a breath of fresh air compared to your usual, slasher horror flick with some teenagers, which we'll get into a little bit later. As Above, So Below did well in the box office, yet it's still one of the most underrated movies discussed today. Have you seen it? Have you heard of it? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments. Number 2, Joyride. I'm sure a lot of us grew up prank calling people at one point. It was always such a rush, you click star 67, you dial the number, you're never sure who's gonna answer or what they're gonna say. Ultimate prank. But what if you prank called somebody and they happen to be a psychotic truck driving murderer? Starring Paul Walker and Steve Zahn, the 2001 thriller Joyride left us never wanting to prank call anybody ever again. The film begins like a classic goofy brother comedy. Guy's on his way to drive across the country to see his love interest. Lewis Thomas, played by Paul Walker, is accompanied by his fun, wacky brother, Fuller, played by Steve Zahn. The film gets us to like this duo right off the bat. I mean, Paul Walker's charm mixed with Steve Zahn's careless humor gets audiences to want these brothers to succeed. Their plans are quickly halted when Fuller decides it's a great idea to use a truck radio and prank call a passing truck. The brothers think that all is said and done until the truck driver, known as Rusty Nail, begins to stalk and terrorize the boys. What a great nickname, by the way, Rusty Nail. Really, tetanus, it's got the whole thing. This movie hits hard with audiences because you don't see what Rusty Nail looks like. In a world filled with truck drivers, you can imagine the anxiety of driving at night, knowing any of them around you could be your killer. With powerful performances from the cast, this movie feels fast-paced and very stressful. 2 sequels came out after, but none of them compare to the original, obviously. Number 1, The Cabin in the Woods. Directed by Drew Goddard and written by Joss Whedon, The Cabin in the Woods is a new take on a classic tale. We start with the usual. We got a group of teenagers heading to a secluded cabin in the woods to find a plethora of haunted relics in the cellar. Usual stuff. I mean, after reading a passage from one of these books, they begin getting hunted down by killer zombies. This already sounds like it's been done before, and that's exactly what they wanted you to think. So while the gang acts like a stereotypical group of teens in a slasher flick, scientists are working behind the scenes at the same time to ensure that everything in the cabin is going exactly as planned. The haunted relics are there purposely, so that they are discovered. So in the movie, it is said that the Lovecraftian gods, known as the Ancient Ones, actually exist in real life. So, in order to keep them calm and collect and cool, and hopefully not destroy the entire planet, a sacrifice must be made. So that's where our dumb high schoolers come in. With many twists along the way, the film does a great job of acknowledging how overdone these basic horror tropes can be. Some scientists even place bets on which relic they're gonna find first or play around with first. The movie's filled with many humorous scenes. It's hard to not love these idiots, But at the same time, The Cabin in the Woods almost makes you root for the bad guys. I mean, after all, if these kids don't die, the rest of the world does. With a great double twist ending, The Cabin in the Woods did quite well with critics, and many have been demanding a sequel since its arrival in 2011. If you were going to release any monster in the world, who would it be and why? Let us know in the comments down below. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are our top 5 scary horror movies you've probably never seen. Obviously, some of them you have seen, so let us know which ones we missed down below. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that, and while you're there, hit that little notification bell. That way you don't miss any future videos. I'm Taylor McWaters, and thanks for tuning in. Have you ever told somebody about a movie you absolutely loved, but none of your friends have ever even, oh my gosh. With the help of her and Clay, there we go. I need glasses, I'm like, huh? Number 4. Burried. Burried? Number 4. Is it buried or buried?
I say buried.
Buried?
I guess it.
Buried. Buried. Oh no, here we go. Comments are gonna pop off. Number 4. Buried. Number 4. Buried.